My dad told me, "You'll never make money drawing," so I sent him my first check. When I was a kid, my dad used to sit at the head of the table flipping through bills and shaking his head, muttering about working for real money. He wasn't cruel exactly, just practical to the point of crushing. A factory man raised by a factory man who raised another factory man. Then there was me, his daydream daughter. Always sketching, doodling on scraps of paper, staying up late drawing fan art when I should have been asleep. He'd walk past my room at night and sigh. All that talent, wasted on fairy tale nonsense, he'd say. Draw something real, blueprints, numbers, something that feeds you. I never argued, but I never stopped drawing either. When I told him I wanted to go to art school, he stared at me like I'd confessed to joining a cult. Art isn't a career, he said flatly. It's a hobby until life smacks you in the face. We fought for weeks. Mom was stuck in the middle, begging him to let me apply for scholarships. Finally, he snapped and said, "Fine. Go waste your time. But when reality hits, don't come crying to me." So I left home for art school with a suitcase, a sketchbook, and a promise to myself that I'd never ask my dad for a dime, even if I starved. And I almost did. I worked coffee shops, took commissions online, illustrated cheap children's books for workouts and pet food catalogs. It was brutal. There were nights I'd lay awake wondering if he'd been right. Then, sophomore year, I stumbled into digital design. Someone needed a logo for a small brand and I gave it a shot. They loved it. Paid me $150. Then another client. Then another. When I graduated, I didn't have a fancy degree or a gallery show. I had clients, real ones who wanted my work. Over the next couple years, I built a freelance design business. One morning, an email landed in my inbox. A packaging company wanted a full rebrand. I charged more money than I ever had before, terrified they'd say no. They didn't. That contract turned into a corporate deal. Less than 2 years later, my company partnered with them on multiple projects. Then came the day my dad called me. I could hear the same exhaustion in his voice I remembered from every night at that table. "How's your drawing thing?" he asked, like he was scared of the answer. "It's going okay," I said. "Got a big client recently." "Oh yeah?" He chuckled. "Bet the pay's better than I thought, huh?" I didn't say anything, just smiled and said, "You have no idea." A week later, the first check from that contract arrived in the mail. 78 line $400, my biggest yet. I stared at it for an hour, then made a copy and mailed it to him. No note, just the paycheck. A few days later, he called again. His voice was rough, quiet. You're kidding, right? This isn't fake?" "Nope." He didn't talk for a while. Then he said, "Well, I guess that feeds you." It was the closest thing to an apology my father had ever given anyone. Now I'm 30, run my own small creative agency, and employ 3 designers, all younger artists who remind me of me. Every time a client pays a big invoice, I think about that table, those bills, those sighs. My dad passed away last year. At the funeral, I found one of my first drawings folded in his wallet, a stick figure family with a crooked house and a sun in the corner. He'd kept it for 20 years, and that's when it hit me. Maybe his fear wasn't that I'd fail. Maybe it was that he couldn't imagine a world where something as fragile as art could survive, but it did. So now, whenever a student tells me their parents said, "You'll never make money drawing," I tell them the truth. You might not, at least not right away. But if you don't stop, one day you'll paint a life so bright even the people who doubted you will have to squint.